Right. So, hi everyone. Yeah, so I came back to work after a career break, maternity, and with the pandemic and everything, to come back and work on the Big Box Bwyd project at Ysgol Banw, which is one of 36 boxes, I believe now. So we were the first in Carmarthenshire. So yeah, the project mainly is the vision and values of it is to ensure that no child is hungry and that every child is able to learn how to make good food choices through the project. So the children and families are provided with food at pay-as-you-feel prices and supported with authentic learning experiences through growing and cooking food. So the four purposes of the curriculum for Wales: ensuring that children are healthy, confident individuals, ambitious, capable learners, ethical, informed citizens, and enterprising, creative contributors. So the first box, if you don't know, was started in Caddixton Primary School by Janet Hayward. And she, has proven that, the children can learn everything through food. And so it's such a massive success that I think every school is hoping to have one at some point in the future. So our project started humbly with myself and some volunteers and groundwork guardians who came along, who was funded by the Valleys Regional Park, I think, Jules, is that right? So they came along to help to establish the garden with us. So we started chipping away at the garden there with some of our volunteers. And so we decided to set up as a community group as well, so that we could be self-sustainable and go for some funding. So that in itself, we had to find volunteers, decided on a framework and wrote a constitution, opened a bank account, which took about 5-6 months, I believe, and then registered as a food business. So we weren't able to open the box until December last year, so about 6 months from starting to opening. So then we registered with Fair Share and we get 150 kilos of delivery of food, which is £438 per term, which we more than cover through our donations. So we signed up then with Mabley, Co-op's food share scheme and Fair Share Go for collecting from local supermarkets, which seemed very straightforward when we first started thinking about it, because obviously, everyone tells us how much food waste there is. So we thought we'd just go along, but no, you need to register with all these organizations, and also there's so many other food waste projects going on in our area that we found that we were fighting with them for the food waste. So we've managed to settle into a routine, and we've got some, but we could always do with some more. So the shop itself then is a pay-as-you-feel system with a suggested donation of £3 per bag, and you can see here is a typical box of goodies. But the actual system itself, we've been sort of trying to work out how to approach it, because there's lots of thought that's gone into, whether we should provide ready-made boxes, because when we were still dealing with the pandemic, it was a one-in, one-out system to the small shop. So we had lots of people waiting around, so we thought we'd make some ready-made boxes, but that didn't work actually, because people wanted to decide what they wanted to buy. And also, sometimes people only want to buy a couple of things just to support the project, rather than that, they need to support their families over the weekend or whatever. They just wanted to support it buying a couple of bits. So we found that so people wanted to just pop in with their children and have a look what was there and just buy a few fresh bits for the weekend, or just to support the project. Sorry, I got distracted there. So the principles of the box then is to fight food poverty with food waste. So it's pretty clear: we get food that would be thrown away otherwise, and people can make a donation for food. So also, it's not just for those who are in crisis, it's for anybody to use, and it's to help alleviate the cost of food, so that people can afford, because we've had some TAs in our school that are single parents, and they say, oh, I feel bad about coming to the box, it should be there for people who really need it. And we say, well, it's food waste, so it's there for everybody to help alleviate and to allow people to have a bit of extra cash to do some nice things as well. And that removes the stigma attached to it then, because there was a lot of people saying, oh, that's for people who really need it, or that's for people in crisis, so it's like a food bank, but it's not. So we're slowly seeing that more and more people are coming forward who might have been a little bit wary of the stigma of it. So by opening it up to everybody, I think it's made it a bit more accessible. So it's obviously, it's provided an opportunity to families to explore food which they wouldn't normally buy. We get such random stuff from Fareshare. So I think it just gives people the chance to test out things that they wouldn't normally spend money on. And it also gives the children a chance to go and choose what they'd like for food. So also we've got a few quotes here from people that that come to the box. One of the things that struck me was that one of our families said, we've been able to get stuff we wouldn't normally be able to afford, such as tinned fruit. So that shows what sort of situation we're in. If tinned fruit is a luxury for some families, then we know that we're doing a good job. So far with the box, we've supported about 30 families, around 15 families every week. And that's from when we started, trying to take some sort of recording of who's coming in and who's buying what, really. So anybody's welcome. Yeah, so the project is really well supported. So our only overhead costs are the Fareshare bills. And we more than have that from the support from our patrons, as it were. So we're reinvesting that now into things such as like a snack stall. So we're doing smoothies after school with some fresh fruit available, and a pop-up cafe. We've developed some really good partnerships with the food bank, which also run a shop for pre-loved clothes and toys called Renew. We're also a referral agency for the food bank, and obviously our food waste, which we've saved from landfill, has been, well, I'd say we were being quite liberal with, we've saved 4.5 tons in 6 months, and that is just as a guess from what we've done from Fareshare and just the co-op. So also the garden, yeah. So we came back to school in May and there wasn't much of a garden there. So we had 4 raised beds that were completely covered in weeds. So we've worked really hard to get it up to where we are now, which is full of vegetables. And we've also had some awards for all money to install some polytunnel and a shed and buy some tools. We're also paying for some practitioners to come in. On a Friday we run well-being workshops for some of our children who needed a bit of extra sort of emotional support. So they do some well-being sort of breath work in the garden as well. So our volunteers have been absolutely fab with supporting the teachers with our outdoor learning sessions there. I sort of look after the bits that go on outside of the school, the community aspect, developing partnerships, the garden and the box. And then we have Lucy, who is our PPA teacher, who's absolutely amazing. And she does the more curriculum element of the Bwyd project. So they've been using some of the waste food from the shop and creating some recipe boxes. They've developed a waste wizard cafe. She's really good at doing the enterprise elements. She's been selling things like bags through the box, lots of cakes, some soaps. So here we have some of our waste wizards looking also at food waste and where does our food come from, looking at the environmental aspects of the impact of where we get our food from. There's some of our cookery sessions there. So the future, where we're going with the project then. So obviously with our lottery funding, we want to involve the wider community and build on partnerships with local organisations. So that might be Incredible Edibles, which we've got some partnership with already. We've got Megan from the Botanical Gardens coming to do some sessions, and develop on those really to run more growing gardening and cookery sessions for families and the wider community. We also want to provide pre-loved uniform and things like Christmas jumpers. They cost so much for families just to be worn one day in 1 year, you know, things like Pudsey Day, so just to have things in our shop available for people. We'd love to develop a cafe area. I think there's a real need for that, to have a hub where people can come along and socialise as well. We'd like to also, even though the project is really well supported, we really feel that we could do more to reach out to those families who are in crisis. And that we're going to look at doing perhaps some delivery boxes, because what we find is there's lots of barriers to using the shop. You know, if you've got several children and no transport, then you're not going to be able to carry all that food back to the house with you. So we're looking at identifying families through the family liaison officer that we can then maybe do an appointment system, or maybe deliver some food, which would be great. We'd like to open over the summer. We'd like to get more food surplus collections, and we'd really like to develop a recipe book and packs them with the children, because if the children like the food, then that's half the battle. So there you go. Thank you very much.